Hello, everyone. Welcome to this first test match preview between England and India. And today, to preview this game, I have a very special guest on board with us, and he is none other than former English spinner Monty Panesar. Monty, on behalf of the entire Cricketaddictor family, I would like to warmly welcome you on our platform.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Our pleasure, our pleasure. Monty, before we begin with the preview, obviously there has been a lot of talk about you joining the KPL and then refusing it. So, if we can talk a little bit about that. So, Monty, what was the reason behind you basically leaving the KPL? Because lately it has been the talk of the town that Monty has been participating in the KPL despite it being disputed. So, what was the reason that prompted you to leave the tournament?
Yeah, look, I think one of the reasons was that if I played in the KPL, then possibility is that I may be denied an Indian visa in the future, and the possibility of that could lead to problems for me. I've got family, I've got friends in India, so on that basis, I kind of felt that it probably wasn't the right decision for me to participate in the KPL.
All right. So, Monty, as a lot of cricketers and the Pakistan Cricket Board itself came up with a statement that the BCCI is transferring some sort of messages to former players. So, were you also intimidated by BCCI regarding participation in the KPL?
Well, I was advised, and I kind of understood that if I did participate in the KPL, then in the future I may not get an Indian visa. And if I don't participate in the KPL, then at least in the future I can visit my family and friends in India. So for me, it was I think it's still important to me to visit my friends and family in India. So I just thought it was too much of a risk for me to be denied entry in India if I participated in the KPL.
Absolutely. So, Monty, once you refused to participate in the KPL, was there any sort of message passed on by the Pakistan Cricket Board? Were they disappointed in any sort?
No, I haven't received any messages, and I think I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. So, Monty, coming to the test series that's going to begin from tomorrow. And before even the series has started, we've seen that the Indian team is in a lot of bother, especially because of the injury concerns that we are facing at the moment. So, who do you think is the perfect opener to open alongside Rohit Sharma, since Mayank Agarwal was also ruled out from the first test yesterday after being hit by a bouncer in the practice session? Who do you think can probably fit in that role perfectly?
Well, I probably say you want Prithvi Shaw to be available, but he's not available. I think he would be the ideal option. So I think Rahul will be given another go. Who is probably his strongest suit is probably T20 or one dayers, but he still hasn't really proved himself at Test level. So yeah, he'll get another opportunity, and it'd be great to see how he adapts against the swinging conditions. So I'll probably see KL Rahul, open the batting with Rohit Sharma.
All right. And what about Cheteshwar Pujara, Monty? Because I recently saw one of your interviews wherein you mentioned that the three key players for Team India in this series are going to be Cheteshwar Pujara, Ajinkya Rahane, and R. Ashwin. So, do you think that promoting him in the batting order might raise his confidence a bit and might give him a boost early on in the series?
Well, I think Pujara has a difficult role. He bats at three, and the difficulty is that he either he comes in when the ball is done a bit. He's against good attack, or it's not probably doing much. So then that requires such a shift of mindset. And then there's also that he's feeling the shoes of like Rahul Dravid. There's that expectation of him being that wall, being the guy who to absorb the pressure, while other guys can sort of bat around him. And he's got that kind of role, hasn't he, where he has to bat. He's a guy who can probably bat, long period of time compared to the other players. So it's a number three, such a difficult spot in England that he still does a good job.
All right. So, Monty, there are a couple of replacements which are obviously traveling to England, and that includes Prithvi Shaw and Suryakumar Yadav. And one of the guys who's made a lot of noise in the Indian cricketing circuit, especially in the last couple of years, has been Suryakumar Yadav, and especially because of his ability to play spin in the manner he plays it. So, do you think he can be successful in England conditions as well? When it's swinging quite a lot, do you think, as far as you've seen him batting, do you think he can succeed in English conditions?
Well, I think it's the adjustment, isn't it? It's a lot of the Indian players love hitting the ball through the line, like to get back on ball. They find it very difficult to leave the ball and let the bowlers bowl to them. Which is going to be, I think, one of the sort of key sort of aspects of batting in England. I think you can't chase after the swinging delivery. I'm sure they're attacking nature. The Indian players are very attacking, so they probably will play that sort of attacking style, like we saw against the World Test Championship. But there's always that risk, isn't it? If you're going to play attacking and score quickly, then you may lose a few wickets. But I assume that's going to be the decision that role. Ravi Shastri and Virat Kohli will probably look to play. I don't think they'll play the traditional, the way you should be playing against, the swinging conditions. I think they'll just, play very attackingly.
All right. Monty, one interesting battle that we've seen over the years in India-England series especially has been that of Virat Kohli and James Anderson. And nobody can absolutely forget that 2014 series. So how do you think is Virat Kohli going to come out, especially against James Anderson in this series?
Well, I think since 2020, his form has really declined. He's in the last 8 Test matches, he's only averaging, 25. He's only scored around, I think, about 350 runs. So, for his standards, he's obviously, in a bit of a, not probably the lowest form that he's been for a long time. So this is something that I think England probably will capitalise on, put extra pressure on him, get Jimmy Anderson on early, and Stuart Broad. Because he's kind of battling within himself really, and that's going to be a bit of a concern for the Indian team, knowing that Virat Kohli hasn't been in great form.
Yeah, Monty, when we look at this Indian batting lineup, seems to be a bit fragile, especially in the English conditions. So, do you think that India must go on with a specialist batsman like Hanuma Vihari in the lower middle order, or do you think that Ravindra Jadeja should be preferred because of his bowling and his fielding that he has displayed in the last couple of years for Team India?
Well, the brand of cricket that India are playing right now, which is obviously attacking nature, even when we've seen them, throughout any overseas Test matches, they look to win a game, and they rather lose it. They rather be in a position to lose a game, but we're attacking rather than them sort of draw out a Test match and play the sort of the traditional manner. And I think this is the style of cricket that's why everyone watches India, because even against the World Test Championship, they made a game of it. They didn't have to play that attacking, but they tried to make a result out of it, and obviously lost against New Zealand. So that style of cricket that they're playing, I think Ravindra Jadeja fits in that. He's an attacking batsman, good fielder. Even with his bowling, he can get a few wickets. But Hanuman Vihari, that's the thing, is how do you get him in the team? Either he has to open the batting, or I can't see another slot for him. So it could be the likes of Hanuman Vihari opens the batting with with Rohit Sharma, because both KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma, they like hitting their boundaries. So it's that's the only spot I see available for him.
So what about Shardul Thakur, Monty? Because there is a lot of talk that he might be in that Indian playing 11 in the first 11. And if he's there, being a fast bowling all-rounder, I definitely do not see a place for Ravindra Jadeja then. So do you think Shardul Thakur will be a better option than Ravindra Jadeja?
Well, it just depends how much grass there is on the wicket. If there's quite a bit of grass at Trent Bridge, then they've got the option, haven't they? They can think that, Shardul Thakur can play. I think he naturally bowls that sort of English length as well, and that all-rounder spot. I think India definitely need. It balances the team really well. So if there's extra grass on the wicket, I'm sure he'll play tomorrow. But if they feel that, it also depends on the weather as well. If the weather holds up well, then that plays another sort of when it comes to deciding on Jadeja or Thakur. So yeah, look. I think India are well balanced. That's the thing, When we look at the whole side, it's they've got a few options, and there's something that it's a well balanced side.
Yeah, definitely. Monty, as you previously mentioned, that Ravichandran Ashwin can play a crucial role in this Indian series victory if they go on to win the series. Uh, as you rightly mentioned, that grass and weather conditions will definitely play a crucial role. So, how do you see Ravichandran Ashwin fitting into this Indian side? And do you think he'll be a successful asset for Team India in this series?
Yeah, I think he would be, because I think he's a type of player I think Virat Kohli likes. He likes to have these kind of players in the team. So yeah, I think he's got every chance to be successful.
So, Monty, basically, if we talk about the Indian pace bowling lineup, I believe they've got the likes of Mohammad Siraj, Ishant Sharma, Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Shami, Umesh Yadav. If you look at the recent performances, yes, Mohammad Siraj performed brilliantly well in that series against Australia, and Ishant Sharma is a veteran. So, since these two bowlers look a bit similar, who do you think will Virat Kohli prefer going with in the first 11? Because Mohammad Siraj obviously brings in that additional pace, but we can't ignore the fact that Ishant Sharma has gone on to play more than 100 test matches.
Look, I think Ishant Sharma and Jasprit Bumrah will probably play. I think in the last Test series, they shared I think just over 30 wickets together. I think Mohammad Shami will play. I think again he prefers to. He's got that, he can bowl sort of back of a length delivery and bowl it full. And I think in England, you need to err on the full side rather than short. So I think they'll go with them three, and probably Ashwin as the fourth bowler. Then it's either between Vrinda Jadeja or Thakur. So one or the other, and then they'll see how the Test series goes, because they're going to play 5 tests in 42 days. So I'm sure at some stage they'll rest the bowlers and rotate the bowlers, and then that's probably Mohammad Siraj will get his chance as well.
Yeah, definitely. Monty, talking about the Indian pace battery, one very key figure who's missing in this Indian bowling lineup is Bhuvneshwar Kumar. And considering the fact that he is obviously that bowler who gets a lot of aid from the conditions that are there in England, and he was the top wicket taker when India toured England in 2014. So, do you think it was a poor decision by BCCI and Indian team management to leave out Bhuvneshwar Kumar in Sri Lanka?
Well, I think Bhuvnesh Kumar is, he's played a lot of cricket, and that bowler who kind of like swings it and pitches it up. I think Ishant Sharma, fulfills that role. So because of the emergence of Mohammad Siraj, I think it's kind of like limited Bhuvnesh Kumar's options in Test cricket. Possibly at home, he's a better option, but I think abroad, they've got their seamers how they want them to be.
All right. Now talking about the English team, Monty, one massive blow was suffered when Ben Stokes decided to pull off due to his mental well-being. So, do you think that it was the right decision, especially considering that there was only a week to go in the India-England Test series?
Well, they've been in a bar secure environment for the last 16 to 18 months, and sometimes we don't know how difficult that is. The freedom that they get, and what the reality of being in that sort of in a bar secure environment can play can affect your mental health, and it's good to see him being honest to himself that he feels that he needs to take time out, and and playing against India, India's there's going to be a lot of attention on him, there's a lot of attention on India as well because of some of the superstar players that they have. So if he doesn't feel he's ready to compete against one of the top teams in the world, I think it's a right sensible decision to look after your mental health first.
Absolutely. Monty, speaking about the English team, another massive blow that they are suffering at the moment is the loss of Jofra Archer, and the way he introduced himself into world cricket, especially in that 2019 Ashes series. Today, reports emerged that he might not play in the IPL as well, and his injury blows are quite serious. So, do you think it will impact English bowling lineup, or do you think that they'll make up for him in this series?
Well, look, his pace is going to be missed, but then the emergence of Ollie Robinson, I think he's the second highest bowler after release point, after Carl Jameson, and you can see how the Indian batsmen struggled against really tall bowlers. Well, only Carl Jameson, who's like has such a high release point. So I think Ollie Robinson could pose some problems to this Indian batting lineup because he's such a tall bowler, and also he fulfills that all rounders position. I think it is a bit of a blow, not having Jofra Archer there. I think his extra pace probably would have, I think they'd rather sort of face Ollie Robinson over Jofra Archer, So so I think that they probably will get his pace will be missed.
All right. Monty, speaking about the Indian cricket team, especially in the context of the T20 World Cup, which is almost about to come, do you think that a formula like split captaincy can be, fruitful for the Indian cricket team, considering the fact that they've been playing a lot of cricket in the international circuit recently?
Well, that's really up to Virat Kohli. I think he enjoys being captain for all forms of the game, and I don't think he would want to give up the captaincy. I think he likes the responsibility. It keeps him in the game, and he likes to sort of impose himself on the opposition. And I think if you take the captaincy away from him in the T20 matches, he may just feel like just a specialist batsman. I think he likes being captain in all forms. So I see it very very difficult. Virat Kohli giving up the responsibility unless he wants to. That's entirely up to him. But I don't see India, split the captaincy.
Yeah. Monty, another aspect of concern for the Indian cricket team going into the T20 World Cup will be that fast bowling all-rounder option, because we've seen that Hardik Pandya has seen a massive drop in his form and he's not even able to bowl his quota of 4 overs. Do you think that he could be a fit in the Indian T20 squad for the T20 World Cup, or do you think that Team India should go ahead with someone like Deepak Chahar or Shardul Thakur, or even for that matter of fact Harshad Patel, who did absolutely brilliantly in this year's IPL?
Look, I think he could play as a specialist batsman. He can win you games if you can get 2 overs even out of him batting at 5 or 6, more of a specialist batsman. That could be an option for them. But I think ideally India are a stronger team when Pandya can actually bowl his 4 overs. So that's maybe a slight concern for Virat Kohli. And with any players that when they're injured and you can't actually get the full services from them, India team starts looking away, start building a team, thinking that actually we may not even have Pandya in the T20 World Cup. He may not fit in our plans. So that's probably be more of a sensible decision from Virat Kohli and Ravi Shastri. You don't want to be sort of underprepared and relying on their best 11 and having Pandya in the team, but he can't actually bowl his full 4 overs.
All right, Monty. Before we wind up this show, since you are an expert on our panel, and I would like to ask you, since you've seen in Indian and England cricket so closely in the last 15 to 20 years, who do you think is going to win this series, and by how many margin do you think the team is going to win this series?
Well, I think India favourites because of the fact that England's top order hasn't really fired. There's obviously question marks over Dom Sibley, Ollie Pope, and even Zach Crawley. Since he's got his, I think double 100 against Pakistan, he's only averaged 10. And then, look, Joe Root has had a good year, and he's got a fine average of 48. But Burns is the next one in line at 33. And I think that area will give India confidence that even if they may not have a great day with a bat, they will always pull it back because England's top order isn't as strong. It's probably the weakest it's been for a long time. So I think India will always be in the game, regardless of how many runs they get in the first or the second innings.
All right. Monty, thank you so much for joining us for this special preview for the first test match. We believe that further as well, we'll provide our audience with such great insights from you. Thank you so much for your inputs today. It was really a pleasure having you on our show.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome.